Welcome to the No Experience Podcast, where two pretty little cart boys are on a quest to talk about anything and everything. I'm Jared Hines, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ammar Abdullah. And today, we're talking about being cart pushers. Alexa, play Old Town Road. Take me home. That's wrong. So wrong. So cart roping, a job that we both had, a job we shared in common. Not at the same time, but a job that we both had. It was my first real job. Me as well, actually. That is a weird position to hold at a store. Because a cart roper, he's like the only person in the store who does not participate in any kind of customer service, really. Mm-hmm. Like, your customer service is that you take a big tow rope and go grab carts. So this is a story time episode. We're going to just tell stories from when we worked as cart ropers. And I got a good one. I got a good one right off the bat. So this was probably in November of my sophomore year. It was it would have been more like January, I think, actually. So it was January of my sophomore year of high school. I was working as a cart roper. And I was just pulling carts in, doing my job. It was about like 10:45, so about 15 minutes to close, okay? So I'm roping carts, doing my thing. I see a guy in a hospital gown come walking into the store as I'm just pulling carts. And I have my headphones in. I'm listening to a podcast or whatever. If you're my boss from the time when I worked there, please ignore the fact that I had my headphones in, because you're not supposed to do that, but I did. So I was pulling the carts in, and I watched this guy walk in a hospital gown and grab one of the automated, riding carts. The electric riding carts for people with, handicaps, disabled people. So he hops on one of those, and he's riding it around the store, and I kind of had gotten all the carts inside, right? So I'm kind of following around a little bit, not directly. I mean, I'm doing my other duties. I'm getting on the pager to do the closing page or whatever, because that's one thing they let me do, because I like to do voices. Anybody who knows me knows I like to do voices. So I would get on the pager, and I was paging we're 10 minutes to close. Bring your shit to the front of the store so that we can ring you out. And I'm doing that as I'm following this dude around, trying to be there when he leaves the cart, wherever he leaves the cart, so I can take it back to where it needs to be. And then my manager comes over, and he's like, Ammar, do you know that guy? Did you see him come in? And I'm like, I don't know him, but I saw him come in. Why? And it's like, well, he's wearing a hospital gown. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. I put that much together. Do you know who he is? And it's like, well, there was a motorcycle crash on the connector, 3 hours ago. And I'm like, no. Yes. Yeah, no, you can see where I'm going with this now. And I'm like, you don't think? And he's like, I kind of do think. And I'm like, do we call the cops? Do we call the hospital? Who do we call about this? And they're like, I don't know. Let me just go talk to him. So the manager walks over, starts talking to the guy, and he's like, hey, sir, are you okay? Do you need assistance? You are wearing a hospital gown. Do you need an escort to the hospital? And he's like, I'm fine. I'm fucking fine. He gets mad. He's like, I'm fucking fine. And we're like, are you certain? He's like, I'm sure. This dude stands up out of the riding cart, walks over to the electronics section, and just starts knocking shit over. He knocks over the gift card rack. He knocks over DVDs. He fucking throws video games all over the place. He knocks over boxes. This was the strangest thing I had ever seen. Turns out that was, in fact, the guy who had crashed his motorcycle at the connector not but 3 hours ago. He walked here to this grocery store from the hospital about 2 miles away. He left. He just left the electric cart right there in the middle of the way and left after having just made a spectacle of himself. I don't know what happened to that dude, but I kind of wish I knew what happened to that dude.
I can only imagine the kind of milkshake that Crash scrambled his brain into for him to walk from the hospital to Fred Meyer to use one of the scooters for another ride.
Yeah, right? Like,
what? And, like, why a scooter from Fred Meyer?
yeah, of
Like,
all
why would
places.
you naturally feel compelled to go to that option?
It doesn't make sense to me, man. I don't know. The guy was fine, apparently. Fine enough to walk in his hospital gown to the grocery store
Yeah.
without any intention of buying anything, I assume.
Well, yeah. God. Strange.
Yeah, definitely strange. That's story number uno that I have for my time as a cart rover. You got anything that can top it or that is comparable?
I seriously doubt it. That was
Oh, it gets weirder. I have weirder stories.
grand. I wasn't working as a car pusher for very long. I think it was just like a summer job between my sophomore and junior year.
Sure.
But the one thing I can remember is just me basically being a pissant. I hated my job. I hated my job a lot, and it was my first job, and I was a youngin'. So, and you know, I had a lot of security. You know, I was still in high school. I lived with my parents, and you know, I didn't have to worry about going broke because I didn't necessarily need the money. So, there was a specific day where, because this was also when I started to play D&D.
Sure.
With this one over here. He was my first DM.
I was Jared's introduction into the wild and crazy world of tabletop role-playing games.
And it was great. And I loved it so much. And I hated my job so much that while I was on shift, I decided, fuck this. And I went to my manager that day. And I said, hey, I just got a call from the hospital. My mom got in a car wreck. I need to go. And she was like, oh my God, yeah, you go take care of that. I went and clocked off, walked down the street to D&D early.
Oh, fuck, I feel like I remember this.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember you getting there and being like, yeah, my job thinks that my mom is in the hospital right now. And I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? Are you serious? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a dick move, but
A little bit, but I mean,
don't regret it.
Corporate entities don't get sympathy for anything.
Precisely.
Yeah, I am firmly in the quit your job and say fuck you to your manager camp. Granted, I loved being a cart roper. The only reason I ever left that job was because my family, because I worked in high school as well. I was about a year ahead of you, right? So,
Yeah.
But yeah, my family at the end of my sophomore year moved really, really far away from this particular Fred Meyer, this particular grocery store. So I didn't have the ability to stay working there because I didn't have a license. I didn't have a car. I didn't get my license or a car until I was into my 20s. Until I was 20, I didn't, bother. If my parents are listening, they rode my ass about that all throughout high school, but what can I say? I just don't love the idea of riding around in a 2-ton metal projectile at high speeds.
Yeah.
I've gotten over that now because, you have to have a car. You need to be able to drive places. I drive a car for a living now. But as far as, being a cart roper, that was a fun job. I wouldn't have left it if I didn't have to. But some of the shit you see, because you see weird stuff. I don't know if you know this, but the parking lot of a grocery store is a liminal fucking space.
Oh, I know.
It's like a different dimension. Weird shit goes on in those parking lots. Like, there was this one, anybody who lives in Boise might be familiar with this lady. There was the sun hat lady. She's like a homeless lady who wears a big fucking sun hat.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think you would, because she frequented the Fred Meyer parking lot. She would just walk around the parking lot and harass the cart ropers. At a certain point, she stopped doing it to me because she realized I wouldn't listen to her when she talked because I had my headphones in. I wouldn't listen to much of anybody when they talked while I was roping carts because, I just would get into a flow state you know, where I'm just like, I'm just going to rope carts and turn my brain off for a couple hours. And so she realized I wouldn't listen, but I would hear horror stories from my coworkers about her hassling them. Like, she would walk up and, like, I had a coworker whose name was, I think, Haruni. He was this charming black guy with the most amazing accent. I loved him so much as a coworker. He was awesome. He went to Boise High School. He was, just the coolest dude I ever met. And he told me that one time Sun Hat Lady grabbed him, like, by the shoulders. Like, he was out there roping carts, and she like, walks up on him and grabs him. And he's, like, asking, like, do you have change? Do you have money at all? Can you spare anything? And, like, shaking him.
Uh-huh.
And she wasn't, like, big, but she was deceptively strong. She's like a tiny little old lady. But Haruni told me, like, this chick is deceptively strong. Like, she grabbed me and shook me like a dog. And I was like, that's insane.
Mm.
Sun Hat Lady, I still see her around town sometimes with, like, 6 bags in a shopping cart. And I'm like, all right, that's weird.
I see you.
I see you. I've seen you. I've been here for a few years of your journey so far. I'm curious to see what crazy trouble Sun Hat Lady gets into next.
I see the game. Much respect.
Yeah, much respect. I respect your grind. Real recognize real.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of stories from being a cart pusher, but the experience was awful. I hated the job.
Some people do. Some people aren't built for work like that.
Yeah. The only thing that I liked out of that job was I got to keep the cart hook. Because the thing about Fred Meyer is, unlike the very prestigious Walmart cart pushers, we didn't get the automatic, like, electric
The
cart.
big magnets, that push like 30 carts at a time.
Yeah, we didn't get anything like that. We had a hook with a rope.
A tow cable, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just slapped that over some carts. We took a stack, and we by hand pushed that into the store.
Yeah, which means at best you could move 10,
Yeah.
20 if you were really good.
Yeah. I think policy was that you were only allowed to push 7.
Yeah, like 7 of them, 14 if they were the small carts.
Yeah, but as long as the supervisor wasn't watching, nobody did that. So
yeah, everybody just pushed as many as they could get.
Yeah, because those corrals, they're called corrals, by the way.
The place where you're supposed to put the cart, which, by the way, a public service announcement. Put your fucking cart back in the corral.
Straight up. Oh my God.
People wouldn't do it. Like, people would leave those carts in weird spots. I found, throughout my time working there, I found probably at least 20 that somehow made their way across the street and got left there.
Yeah. I think the most annoying and just, like, profound ones that I saw were the ones where people actively pushed them up onto the like, little islands where there's, like, a tree and some rocks. They didn't even leave it on the blacktop. They had to actively, like, lift it up or, like, pivot it up onto the island and push it up there.
Yeah, like, I don't know if they think they're being helpful when they do that. They're not.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I was off shift, this was during, like, the winter, like, December. It was really snowy, and I lived probably 6 blocks from this Fred Meyer. Like, I could walk there. So I was walking home from work through the snow. Tell me my dumbass doesn't reach my apartment complex 6 blocks away and find one of these carts tucked in a bush.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, who? How? What is your story, cart? What crazy thing happened to you to put you here?
Jesus Christ. Oh, he dumped his water.
I dumped my water.
He's a silly water dumpy boy.
Ugh.
He will be forgiven.
It's my fucking blanket I dumped it onto, so whatever.
So here's the thing. They don't give you gloves.
No.
If you want gloves, you have to, like, buy them yourself. And the reason why that's important is because of the summer. Once again, we didn't have the automatic, like, cart pusher machines. We had to do this by hand. That meant that even with the hook, we had to put our hands on the bars, which were just straight metal. And in the summer here in Idaho, that means they get ridiculously fucking hot, and they will, like, scald your hands.
Yeah, like, if you've ever had the unpleasant experience of going to, like, an all-metal jungle gym or, like, a playground and trying to grab the monkey bars and just burning the shit out of your hands, that was all day, every day working at Fred Meyer.
Yeah, you had to keep your hands on those bars for an extended period of time while you pushed this stack into the store. So...
multiple times a day, mind you.
Yes. a ridiculous amount of time in the day because those corrals never stay empty. These people are in and out of the store all day.
Oh, yeah. On an off day, you're easily moving a volume of like 200 carts.
Yeah. So, like, you will go through and you'll, like, empty a corral and bring it back in. The next time you come out, that in, like, 15 minutes or whatever, that corral's already halfway full again.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. And
I can't imagine what it's like for people who work at, like, big grocery stores like Walmart.
Yeah.
But they have tools. They have, like, a big-ass magnetic thing to push those carts around.
Exactly.
So they really have the advantage, if you ask me.
Me too. I always get jealous looking at them.
Oh yeah, because I'm like, that could have been me.
Yeah, but I never get mad because I know I'm not gonna get mad at those who are in a better position than me.
Real recognize real.
Yeah, but just fuck that job, dude. I'm so lucky that I did not stay long enough to experience doing that in the winter.
Oh, during the winter it was actually nice. It was actually much nicer during the winter.
Really? Because I've heard some horror stories from somebody else who worked at Fred Meyer.
Sure.
Working in the winter on, like, the really bad snows.
Yeah, some people didn't like it. I loved it, personally. But I had really nice boots. I had, like, really nice combat boots that I would wear during the cold months. So I had fun. I liked it. That was a great job for me. I don't know what it is about, like, turn your brain off, manual labor jobs like that, but they speak to me. Like, that's the kind of job I'm working right now. For those not in the know to know what you know, I currently am a scooter scooper. If you live in big metropolitan cities, you will probably know that there are electric scooters. There's companies that bring electric scooters into the city so that you can turn them on with your cell phone and ride them around. My job is to pick those up and take them to a warehouse to be charged or bring them out into the field so that people can pick them up. It's the same kind of work. It's very similar. I turn my brain off. I listen to podcasts all day. The only difference is I get to drive a truck. That's about the only difference now. And I love that kind of work. I don't know why, but it speaks to me. It works well for the kind of person I am. I like turn my brain off, don't deal with customer kind of jobs.
Yeah, I think I could enjoy that a lot more. I think the problem with Fred Meyer was just the people that I was working with. First of all, I didn't like them very much, and I didn't work very well with them.
That's fair.
There wasn't really any, teamwork to speak of, which was a shame. But also, like, the management when I was working was not very good. Like, I didn't get any training. Like, I got one day where some dude walked around and sort of told me a few places around the store about them, and that was it. I essentially had to teach myself.
Yeah, when I worked there was like the management was different. There was like a 16-hour training period. Like, you had to sit at a computer and watch training videos about your position for, like, your first few shifts. It was just 8-hour shifts of just watching video clips about working at Fred Meyer on a computer.
Yeah, I did not get that.
Yeah, it sucked, don't get me wrong, but I felt uniquely equipped to do my job. I'm a pretty quick study when it comes to work, though. I can work pretty much any job because I can learn the necessary skills pretty fast. That's about the only good thing about having me as a worker, frankly. Everything else about having me as one of your employees is kind of ass, because I'll be honest. I'm a slacker. I am. I always have been. Anybody who had me, some of my teachers that I am, like, personal friends with now, may hear this podcast and vouch for the fact that I have always been a slacker. I am down to the wire, last minute kind of worker. Fred Meyer was a microcosm of all of my worst work habits. You know, like, I got downright creative with wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've probably told you about this, but one of the things that cart ropers did at Fred Meyer was clean the bathrooms. That was another part of your job. You were basically a janitor as well. I could make cleaning a bathroom, and these weren't huge bathrooms. These were not big bathrooms. I could make the task of cleaning the bathroom take upwards of like an hour and a half. I was that good at wasting time.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's not something to be proud of, but in a way I am kind of proud of it, because I'm basically fucking a corporation, you know, like, corporate entity is paying me money to do a job, and I'm wasting their time.
Yeah.
That's the light socialist within me.
Yeah, and frankly, for all the responsibilities that we were given for that job, the, like, vastly varying responsibilities, we got paid minimum wage.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
They've changed that now.
Have they?
Yeah, these days they pay $13 an hour.
God damn it.
Dude, me as a little baby sophomore in high school, I would have shit my pants at the prospect of making $13 an hour.
I would have nutted in the interview if they said that to me.
Do you know how much... I was really into Del Taco my sophomore year. Do you know how much Del Taco I could have eaten if I had been making $13 an hour and didn't have rent or bills to pay?
So on the corner of that little Fred Meyer parking lot was a Dutch Bros.
There is a Dutch Bros. I don't know if Dutch Bros is a big chain that exists outside of the Northwest, but if it doesn't, it's a coffee joint. It's a shack coffee joint
that is filled with remarkably almost unreal, just very, very kind and upbeat people, which sometimes are just too
positivity
much.
To like an uncomfortable degree.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever met like the employees at like Disneyland or something like that, where they're just like uncomfortably nice and positive, it's like that.
Just Disney encapsulated in a coffee shop.
Yeah, think like that level of overwhelming positivity.
Yeah. But one of the things they served was these things called Rebels, which was basically a energy drink called Rebel, and
it's Red Bull mixed with syrup. Basically, it's like an iced Red Bull syrup drink.
Precisely.
Think like an Italian soda, but with Red Bull.
Yeah. Every day that I was working there, on my break, I would always go over and I would grab a Tiger's Blood Rebel for my break, and I think that's where like half of my paychecks went.
Dude, you were probably pissing blood. With like, Red Bull is bad for you fucking liver and your bladder. It's bad for you.
Yeah, but...
I mean, it hasn't stopped you. You still drink energy drinks.
Yeah, I have had 2 Monsters.
Since we started recording. He's not lying. We've recorded about all... This will be our 3rd episode we're recording right now during this session.
Mm-hmm.
And he has had 2 Monsters already and might go home and drink another one, I'm guessing.
I'm out.
Oh, he's out. Okay, well, if he had another one...
If I had another one, I would.
He'd drink another one. Not that I really have much room to judge. I put down fucking Dr. Pepper like a fat guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I drink so much Dr. Pepper. Like, it's a sickness, but it's good. I like Dr. Pepper.
When you're working these kind of jobs, it's just almost natural for us to put down these horrible, horrible substances.
Well, because you have to, right? Because you're doing a physically laborious job. It's pretty thankless. It doesn't pay well.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I ate so badly during my time at Fred Meyer. Not as badly as when I worked at Subway, which that we'll get into Subway on a later episode because I got crazy stories about that place too. But I ate really badly when I worked at Fred Meyer because, you know, I'd get my paycheck. It was like $80 on a good paycheck, right? Because, you know, I only got up to 21 hours per week, you know, best case scenario, 21 hours per week at $7.25 an hour. So I'd have a paycheck of maybe $80, maybe every week.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be able to basically eat like toaster oven pizza. That was my favorite one. Fred Meyer had like these $1 personal pizzas that we would buy, and we had a toaster oven in the break room. So I would buy a pizza. I'd buy a pizza, some chips, a piece of fruit, and a Dr. Pepper, and that was my lunch that I would eat in the break room at Fred Meyer. It smelled so bad in that break room because I would just be cooking a fucking pan pizza in the toaster oven. That job was wild. It was weird. God, what else? What other fucking weird stories do I have from my time there? New Year's. I worked New Year's Eve, and I remember midnight came while I was still on shift. I was pushing carts and midnight comes, and I wouldn't have noticed because, you know, like I said, I turned my brain off. I don't look at my phone really. I'm just listening to podcasts and shit and like, you know, music or whatever. But I hear fireworks. I'm pushing carts and I hear fireworks and I like look and I see fireworks. There's a park probably like 2 miles down the road from this grocery store. And I see fireworks over there and I'm like, oh. And I pull out my phone and I look at the time. I'm like, oh, it's fucking New Year's. Shit. Oops. And then I just kept pushing my carts because I was like, well, I mean, I got a job to finish here. You know, I can't leave it not done.
Didn't the store close at like 9 or 10?
No, it was open late New Year's Eve.
Oh.
And that's why they had me working late New Year's Eve. I'm not mad at them. it was not a horrible way to celebrate New Year's because it was doing a job that I really liked, and it was, what was I going to be doing? I was a sophomore. I was 16 at the time, so what was I going to do on New Year's really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that was probably one of the weirder nights. Another one was like during like Super Bowl Sunday. People got in and got out pretty fast because they wanted to get home to watch the Super Bowl. So it was pretty empty Super Bowl Sunday at the store. So we just at a certain point went all of us in the break room and watched the Super Bowl together. And that was weird. Like that's a weird job. That's a strange job to have. I have a sneaking suspicion it will be replaced by automation within the next few years. Because, we're getting better and better at like automated shit for menial, simple tasks like that. So, we'll have like, automatic magnetic cart roping machines. Of course, gotta have people to maintain those and like to take care of them. Because some cheeky fucker always wants to kick it over for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carts in weird places. That's a weird job, but I like that job. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might honestly be all that we need to say about that. I mean, frankly, if I had to give a bit of unsolicited advice relating to being a cart roper, it's don't work that job.
Don't do it.
Yeah, unless you're, a fucking weirdo like me and you like the idea of manual labor that doesn't require you to think, like monotonous work speaks to you, like if it does, go ahead, but only if they pay you right, only if the getting's good.
Or if you're desperate, there's no other options and you don't feel like dying.
Yeah, right. If you are, in dire straits, I guess cart roping's not the worst job you could have.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, y'all. Thanks for joining us again for the No Experience podcast. Make sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on SoundCloud. You can find us at any place that good podcasts are distributed, So give us a listen. Tell your friends. Tweet about us. Fax an episode of the script. Fax a copy of the script of this episode. Send it to your great aunt Sally. Whoever.
Yeah, or you could fax a question to me or our fax machine specifically.
Yeah,
I do not have a fax machine in my stomach.
Yeah, we don't have a fax machine, but if you faxed a question to someone, maybe it'll get to us. Who knows?
Yeah. It will not be received by my body, though.
By your body. Yeah, you don't have a fax machine in your body.
No.
You're not a robot.
No. I have no communication devices integrated into myself at all.
Jared, are you a robot?
No.
No.
Why would you ask me that?
I'm just curious. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not a snake in a human suit. I'm not a reptile.
Yeah.
So, I just want to be sure that I'm not a reptile, you're not a robot, that we're both human beings.
Exactly.
And that
because
everything's
we've
good.
known each other for years and we would know each other best.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.